Palestinian rights advocates condemned a Republican-led measure as an effort to smear critics of Israel amid the war in Gaza. Washington, D.C. Palestinian rights advocates are condemning a congressional resolution equating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, calling it a dangerous measure aimed at restricting free speech and distracting from the war in Gaza. The Republican-controlled House of Representatives passed the measure by a vote of 311 to 14 on Tuesday, with 92 Democratic members voting present and abstaining. The symbolic decision was framed as an effort to reject the violent rise of anti-Semitism in the United States and around the world. But it included language stating that the House states clearly and unequivocally that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. He also condemned the River to Sea slogan, which rights activists understand as a wistful call for equality in historic Palestine. Instead, resolution described it as a rallying cry for elimination of State of Israel and Jewish people. He also described demonstrators who gathered in Washington, D.C. last month to demand a ceasefire as rioters. The resolution alleges that they spewed hateful and vile language that reinforced anti-Semitic themes. Hussam Marajda, an organizer with the U.S. Palestine Community Network, said the decision was an effort to cancel Palestinian rights advocates by accusing them of bigotry and labeling their criticism of Israeli policies as hate speech. It sets a really bad precedent. It aims to criminalize our struggle for liberation and our call for justice, peace and equality, Marajda told Al Jazeera. Zionism is a nationalist ideology that helped establish the State of Israel in 1948. It argues that the Jewish people have the right to self-determination in historic Palestine, which Zionists regard as their ancestral homeland. The rise of Zionism in the late 1800s was partly a reaction to anti-Semitism in Europe. But many Palestinians reject Zionism as the driving force of settler colonialism that dispossessed them during Israel's founding. Israel's founding coincided with the forced expulsion hundreds of thousands Palestinians from their homes in an event known as the Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic. While Palestinians see themselves as the indigenous people of this land, Zionists say that the Jewish people have historical and biblical claims to today's Israel. Some hard-line Zionists, including members of the government of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, argue that today's Palestinian territories also belong to Israel. In his speech to United Nations General Assembly in November, Netanyahu held up a map of Israel stretching from Jordan River to Mediterranean, covering West Bank, Gaza and Syria's Golan Heights. Palestinian rights advocates in the United States have long rejected the conflation of Zionism and Judaism, noting that many Jewish Americans identify as anti-Zionist, opposing the Israeli government's policies and